Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our live broadcast today. So my name is Angeline Constantino. I am the founder and CEO of Let's Break the Silence with Angeline, and today we have a very special guest, Christian Ray Flores, and we are going to be talking about his life story from refugee to pop star, evangelist, and entrepreneur. So I'm really super excited to have Christian on my podcast show this afternoon. So if you are watching this live right now on YouTube or on my Facebook page, please let us know in the comments, #live. And if you are watching the replay, please #replay. Okay. So Christian, and I'm really super excited because he has a very rich and multifaceted story. And he is an international recording artist, entrepreneur, and life coach with a captivating story that spans 4 continents and multiple cultures. So from being a child refugee in Chile at the age of 5 to witnessing the fall of the Soviet Union and Russia and the civil war in Mozambique, his life experiences have shaped him into an extraordinary leader and communicator. With a master's degree and fluency in 4 languages, Christian is a versatile and knowledgeable communicator. His remarkable journey has taken him from becoming one of Russia's top artists and music producers to an evangelist in Ukraine. As a successful entrepreneur, philanthropist, investor, evangelist, and coach in the United States, he embodies a wealth of expertise and wisdom. So based in vibrant Austin, Texas, Christian enjoys life with his wife, business partner, Deb de Flores, and adult daughters, Diana, Violetta, and Isabella. And he is the co-founder of Third Drive Media, an award-winning marketing and venture development company, and the nonprofit Ascend Mission Fund. Additionally, Christian offers his expertise through Xponential Life, a coaching program designed for high achievers seeking lifelong integrated success. So today I am going to bring on, so without further ado, I am bringing on Christian. Good afternoon.
Hey, Angeline. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. And it's such a pleasure and honor to have you here on my podcast show. So tell us, what is the time? I always ask all my guests, what is the time right now where you are?
It is 2 p.m., 2:14 p.m. in Austin, Texas.
And how was the weather there today?
It's beautiful. I think it's like 80 degrees. It's beautiful,
Yes.
sunny day. Yeah.
Well, that's good. Well, here we have showers and thunderstorms. So I'm in Florida. Just heard a big rumble of thunder.
I love Florida thunderstorms. I actually lived in South Florida for a little bit over a year.
Oh, wow.
A while ago. Yeah. Boynton Beach.
Boynton Beach. Okay. I'm in Stewart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in Stewart, Florida. So I'm not too far from Jupiter. So yeah, I'm familiar with Boynton Beach. Well, it's great to have you here. And thank you so much, I'm honored that you reached out to me. So, all right. So let's dive right in. So let me ask you this. So what were some of the biggest challenges you faced growing up in such different cultural environments, and how did you overcome them? What were the strategies that you implemented? Because your story is so fascinating.
Yeah, I think it's unusual. It's an unusual story, but I think the struggles and are common. They're human, right? So, and I think to give your audience a little bit of a quick fast forward overview, I grew up on 3 different continents. I was born in Moscow. My mom's Russian, my dad's Chilean. We moved to Chile when I was 6 months old. Then a few years later, and we were going to settle there. A few years later, there was massive civil unrest. There was a military coup that happened. So my dad ended up in a concentration camp. We ended up in a refugee camp together, and as a family for a few months. And then we got asylum in Germany, went to Germany, back to Russia. Then my dad got a job in Africa, in Mozambique. So I basically found myself in a 4th country by age 7. and
Wow.
it was pretty intense. And I think what happens on the downside when things like that happen is that you don't have, as a child, you see, like at age 5, you see evil, right away, violence,
Mm,
what oppression looks like, what human cruelty looks like or feels like, and then you see massive instability. And I think for children, stability is sort of important, right? Structure, stability. So when you move, 4 different countries by age 7, that really sort of shapes you in a certain way, both negative and positive, actually. So there's a lot of positive in the journeys that we go through that are traumatic and painful. We just need to be able to find those things. I think the other, and I would say, look, it's very rare that I find somebody who had a very similar early childhood, but it is common for people to go, yeah, I moved, like I was a military kid. I moved from place to place to place. I couldn't find a home. I didn't feel at
mm,
home anywhere. I was been an outsider, or it's broken homes, people, blended families, things like that. So it sort of creates similar challenges in people's lives, even
mm,
even though the stories might not be the same, right? And I think for me, it was, and still is, actually, every once in a while I go, do I belong here, right? Because I was an outsider everywhere I've been, quite literally an outsider. So, like, out of place. uh, Even here in the US, I probably feel that I belong in the US more than anywhere else because it's a country of immigrants. But even in the US, like after 5 minutes talking to somebody, they're like, "Where are you from exactly?" I have an accent that is hard to identify because it's almost like a composite accent.
mm,
But even before that, I was growing up in Africa. I'm clearly not, Black African, so people know I'm not from there. I live in Russia. I have brown skin. I don't look Slavic at all. People are, no, I don't belong there. Things like that. Even you go back to Chile, I blend in uh, the way I look, but the minute I open my mouth, people go, "Yeah, you're not exactly from here either."
mm.
So the not belonging piece, I think it's a big part. And I mean, the other sort of thing that really affected me is this sense that nothing is sort of guaranteed, right? My world kept changing and shifting and under my feet,
Mm,
And then family, I think it was the other one. The divorce of my parents affected me quite a bit. I was 14 years old, and it really rocked my world. And I
mm.
found it hard to sort of find a healthy way to build a family after that for quite a while, until it was maybe in my mid 20s where I sort of figured it out and started to know what to do about that, how to relearn relationships. So anyway, that's a quick overview.
Wow, that is a quick overview. And yes, wow, what a story. How were you able to adapt to those shifts? And then your parents, and then, the divorce, because you talked about your parents getting divorced at 14. How did you adapt? I mean, things were moving so fast.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they really,
Yeah.
really were. I think it's really more of, sometimes it's you get lucky and you interpret things in a way that is empowering, right? Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's not conscious. It doesn't matter. The most important thing is, okay, what works. And I
Mm,
think for me, I all these transitions made me into a very, very flexible, I would say.
okay.
Um, so instead of sort of shrinking and going, okay, I don't belong anywhere, I'm an outsider, I decided that I would just try to learn and assimilate and learn how to be around people. So instead of a limitation, I'll essentially became a superpower. I learned how to learn quickly, and this is something I've used to build. I've had 5 different careers so far, right?
Wow, that's
And
great.
yeah, and the reason for that is because I'm able to quickly reinvent myself, learn new things, gauge people, read them well, become connected to them. And so that's one of the big up sort of advantages is all of instability makes you much more adaptable towards
Mm,
sort of risk and new beginnings. So you can learn from that, actually. So that's one of the things that I teach my clients now in my coaching program, is how to learn how to transform stress into creativity, how to learn quickly.
Oh,
There are techniques that are really transferable that you can learn how to do that. That's one piece. The other one, I think it's just generally speaking, understanding what are the elements of, okay, where do you draw strength, right?
right, right.
What are the elements of growth, for example, so you can
The elements of
overcome,
growth. Yes,
you know.
definitely.
So I think learning was a big thing. Cultural awareness became a superpower, essentially, because I learned 4 languages by age 9, right? So that that does something to your brain, that it's a mystery,
Woo!
right?
Wow.
So so you learn how to connect to very, very different people. And language is very interesting, because language gives you also changes the way you think about things, because language is a very, very visual. It actually rewires your brain. There are studies around that. And makes you more creative, right? So now you don't have to speak 4 languages to be creative, but you can learn how to be more creative.
Ah,
So
okay.
that's another thing that you can learn, and it's a skill, right? It's a skill just like any other skill. Um, Learning how the value of family and relationships. So I went from being part of 3 generations of broken homes, very traumatized by my parents' divorce.
Mm,
I want love, I want belonging, I want a family, but I literally don't know how to do that, and I'm terrified of failing at it. Right, so I ended up sabotaging every relationship I was in, because the minute it got close and it was sort of
mm.
become serious, I would run. I would just sort of sabotage. I would do something to just drive the other person away,
Okay.
be a jerk, do something that will be a deal breaker, essentially. And sort of a cowardly way to do things, to be honest with you, right? It's like and I would do things that would cause the other person to break up with me, not me. So not a very good strategy.
Not a very good strategy. Yeah, self sabotage.
Yeah,
How were you able to overcome self sabotage? Because that's another skill set.
it
I mean,
is.
that's
Yes, it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of mindset work,
I
overcoming. Yeah.
developed, I mean, for me, I became a Christian. I developed a spiritual practice, and all kinds of studies show that a spiritual practice is actually essential for you to mature and flourish long term, right?
I
So
agree.
I created a contemplative practice that changed me from the inside out, because I was able to realize exactly what I'm feeling, why I'm feeling it, what do I want to do about it. Most people just go through life in reactive ways and not proactive ways. So a contemplative practice that is daily, something I teach as well, I coach people in that, will help you understand what are you feeling exactly. How does that correspond to reality? What can you do about it? Things like that.
Mm,
The other piece I think for that was being coached, actually. Like, I met my first coach around that same time, and it's having an outside person look into your life and sort of see it a little bit more objectively, because you're objectively subjective. You're just looking at it from the inside out. Um, the right person can believe in you more than you believe in yourself, see with more clarity what your next
mm,
steps would be, and offer you guidance. And to me, that was a massive change. I mean, that's probably part of the reason why I do performance coaching now. It's one of the things that I do, not the only thing, but it was done for me. It was
mm.
somebody literally changed my life, and I was a very successful professionally guy at the time that I started making those changes. I was a pop star in Eastern Europe. I came back from Africa, went to college, got a degree in economics, and then just decided to try out music, and I was very successful at it fairly quickly. So I went from sort of this aspiring, struggling artist to somebody who plays sports arenas, who is on magazine covers. Like, it was insane, and that amplified all of the cracks that I had in my character, all the stuff that I haven't learned or healed. So I say to people that have experienced a lot of those struggles, it's probably a good thing if you're not successful professionally. It's probably a good thing because it's going to only amplify the things that you haven't dealt with. It's going to make it actually worse. So work on yourself, get some coaching, get some therapy, whatever it takes.
There we go.
And then you can flourish professionally, because you need that kind of character, that kind of fortitude to propel you. And I just wasn't ready for success. So I had a number one hit at the time, and I was literally clinically depressed. So it literally just lost a lot of weight, just couldn't think straight. I lost my creativity, so it was hard to create new music. When I got the help, when I got the coaching, when I developed a spiritual practice, all of that together really changed me. So, and I went from 3 generations of broken homes. I literally cannot keep a relationship going beyond a few months, to meeting my wife now, dating her, courting her, marrying her in the right way you're supposed to do that. And I literally 2 weeks ago, I celebrated 25 years of marriage, healthy, happy marriage. So I was able to break that cycle and heal some things and develop the skills necessary to build a great marriage. And now it's just automatic for me. It's autopilot. It's still a lot of work, but my baseline is a healthy, happy marriage. That's my baseline.
Right.
And I think I really believe anybody can get to that place.
Definitely. They can. And like you talked about, you have to work on yourself. And you brought up a very good point about flourishing. How can you flourish professionally and personally when you essentially have depression?
Mm-hmm.
And so how did you overcome depression?
I think for me, it was honestly getting help and massive action. I think one thing that, and I'm not speaking as a psychologist because I'm not qualified to speak from that standpoint, but just from a personal experience and from the coaching experience, I believe that just talking about your problems with anyone, coach, psychologist, that doesn't matter, and not taking massive action is how you stay depressed. Because information doesn't help you, doesn't change you. It's only action that does. Even if action brings negative results in the short run, you'll keep working on things and trying and failing. Eventually, you'll find things that do work. And that's why I believe you have to you have to be around people who you want to be more like, get some guidance. It could be a mentor, a coach, anybody, your parents, if they're wise. But action is the key. So to me, I learned quickly, and that was sort of a superpower I already had from youth. But I implemented it right away. Like, I was very decisive in the way I used advice and guidance.
And it's all about making that decision and taking action and having a plan of action too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Having a plan of action. So I want to ask you about your exponential life. Okay. So tell us more about your exponential life. So what sets your coaching program apart for high achievers, and how do you integrate it? How do you integrate your diverse life experiences into it?
The genesis of it was very interesting because I learned so much. I had so many life experiences. Like, I've lived 3 different lifetimes by, age, whatever, 35. It was crazy.
Right. That's
And
crazy.
and it's just, I've changed 5 different careers, and I'm an entrepreneur. I have a digital media company that I own. I run a nonprofit where we help kids in Africa get out of poverty in Mozambique.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so there's all these life experiences and expertise that get developed during those things. I do a lot of Christian ministry work that also really adds to knowing the nuance of human flourishing, right? And I kept having these people come to me for help that are very specific people. And essentially, eventually, I put it two and two together because I realized, oh, that's just me in my past life. Those are the people that come to me, right? And it was just people who were very driven, very ambitious, high achievers who had these flat sides that they couldn't figure out. How do I get rid of this, right? This thing
Mm,
is preventing me. They either plateau or they want to do something great and they have all kinds of resistance, internal resistance to the great things they want to do. And I ended up coaching early on. I mean, this is a long time ago, coaching 5 Olympic athletes, for example, right? And I'm not even an
right.
athlete, but they sort of gravitated towards me because they knew that I get them, right? I understand what it means to have ambition, have dreams, have all these things that you want to do that take you to a place of excitement, of action, but also take you to a place of fear and doubt
Mm,
and internal self-sabotage, imposter syndrome. And
mm,
how do you navigate that? Because you're putting
right.
yourself out there, you're risking so much by competing at the highest possible level in sports, for example, or writing a book or building a company or developing anything new
Mm,
immediately elicits what I call resistance, right? It's doubt and fear, anxiety. It's, who do you think you are? What if everything fails? Are people going to
mm.
judge you? All those things are completely inevitable, and everybody who wants to build anything will face that. So I realized that, oh, I seem to attract and really successfully help people that are entrepreneurs or athletes or artists or fashion designers, people like that, politicians sometimes. And eventually I'm like, you know what? I think there's something there that is the common thread. And
Mm.
all I did was organize it, structure it in a way that can be taught and acquired as a skill. And once you see that, it's really hard to unsee it, unlearn it, because it's really remarkable just how much more we're capable of when
Oh,
we
yeah.
when we go through the steps, right? And basically, in my core program, because I have sort of a longer track programs, but the core program, which is sort of the entry point
Mm.
into exponential, we just deal with 4 things and one desire. I mean, the overarching desire is I want to make a dent in the universe. I have something in me that I feel needs to come alive and needs to become real, right, to the world outside. I want to build something, write something, create something. Or I've done this already and I want to keep doing it, but I feel like I'm hitting what got me here is not going to get me where I want to go, basically, right? Those are the people. That's the desire.
Ah, okay.
And then the problem we solve is at the core is 4 things. Essentially, the first one is when you want to build something, when you have a role already, you're a CEO of a company and you're getting promoted over and over and over again, you hit a plateau because complexities add up and
They
obstacles
do.
add up. So you start living with anxiety.
Mm.
And basically the skill I teach is how do you get from anxious to creative in one day, less than a day? How do you win the day? Because every day you have 16 hours to take action.
That's true.
How are you
That's
going to
true.
how are you going to invest that? And that's not scalable, by the way. Everybody gets the 16 hours after 8 hours of sleep. Hopefully
That's right.
you get
That's
the
right.
16 hours. Those are the 16 chips you're dealt. How are you going to invest, and what are you going to bet on? And if you invest from a place of peace, creativity,
Mm.
um, excitement, vision, you will bet them well. If you don't have that baseline, that emotional baseline, you'll probably squander the chips you're dealt with that day. Now,
There you go.
if you can get yourself from stressed out to creative in one day, imagine if you can do it over and over again for 5 days, 6 days, 7 days. That's going to be an amazing week for you. And
Absolutely.
if you multiply that by a year, that's going to be a transformative year. And most people just don't know how to do that. So there's a lot of sideways energy that just don't make progress. And that's the second thing we talk about, which is sort of direction and speed. You
Mm.
you can go and experience a lot of success if you're a driven person, capable once you want to learn, and the world will reward you for that. right? So you get promotion after promotion, increase after increase, things like that.
Exactly.
But then what that also adds is complexity.
Mm.
So you have more people that are you're managing, right? More components to your deal, your firm, your career, and you lose speed. That's the first thing that happens. Progress slows down, and then you lose direction
Mm.
altogether because you have all these competing things, and now you don't know what are you supposed to do. So we teach people how to choose direction and then increase speed. And the
Oh,
third thing that we teach is how do you deal with the stuff that happens when you actually start really getting results,
okay.
which is I call that resistance. I mentioned that before. Oh, things are going well. Maybe what if I fail? Right. So it's all these internal things and the behavior that comes out of it, which is usually escapist behavior. So you want to escape your reality and you binge on whatever food, shopping, Netflix, more benevolent things, more evil things like porn, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's escapist behavior. You're trying to do is escape your reality. Instead of escaping reality, you need to build your reality. So these kind of behaviors they will slow. They're like weights around your ankles. You just can't go fast with those things present. So how do you get rid of those? Then you go even faster. And then the last piece is essentially sort of how do you reach holistic success,
Mm.
which basically means, yeah, for a short while, you can do really well at your job and not watch your health, your emotional health, your family, your friendships, your finances. For in the long run, you won't be able to do that. You won't sustain success. So we
Mm.
have this tool called the Exponential Scorecard, which is a 7-dimension tool where you can just rate yourself, self-assess. And if you track those things, and this is research-based stuff, so these are the things that actually matter. These are the 7 things that matter the most. If you score high on these things and increase your score over time, you're going to do really well in life. And that's actually measurable, which is really exciting.
Wow. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's like 4 pillars. I'm like, wow, I'm excited.
Yeah,
It's life changing.
it really is. Yeah, it really is life-changing.
Now, I have a question to ask you because so many people, when they go into business, whether they're entrepreneurs, coaches, speakers, they have that fear of failure. And the doubt and the fear creeps in. So, what would you suggest and recommend? What's a tool and technique that you use to overcome? Because failure is our teacher, essentially. So,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with failure. You just need to embrace it,
got it.
and sort
Okay.
of reframing that is really important. Is how to not associate failure with your identity. It's just part of life, right? It's
Right.
you learn in the valleys, you never learn in the mountaintops. So you need to learn how to fail well and how to grow. And that's where that's the intricacy is. There's just really not one tool that solves this. It's all of it, right? So even the pillars that I just mentioned, knowing how to go from stress to creativity, that's one pillar daily,
Mm.
right? I can get bad news, a relational bump, a business bad news, something like that, and be down, which is the natural state of somebody who that's just we're wired for that.
Ah, there you go.
And
Yes,
turn
exactly. We are wired for that.
absolutely, it's our brain trying to protect us, trying to ensure survival. It's
Mm.
maladaptive, ancient maladaptive things that really don't relate. They feel dangerous, but they're not dangerous, right? So how do you go from stress to creative in an hour? I know how to do that. Like that's a skill. So any bad news that comes my way, I can bounce back, and that's a massive advantage. That's a muscle you can grow. And
Mm.
then knowing how to prioritize, how to speed things up and progress, that's a massive that will help you, because if you are doing something new, let's say you want to become a speaker or a coach or a consultant
Mm.
of some sort, and it's all you just don't have enough to show for it. So you need direction and speed, because progress will encourage you. That will take care of the fear.
Right.
Then, so in order to speed things up and take a direction and actually go, How do you remove the things that slow you down? Right? So you're super anxious, you're super nervous, you're working on this book, that you think it's your masterpiece. And the closer you are to completing it, the more you start going, maybe it's actually terrible. It's not masterpiece. Everybody's gonna hate this thing. And then what you do is you stop working on it and start binging on Netflix with a gallon of ice cream in your hands, right? That's escapist behavior, right? It doesn't
Ah,
change reality at all. It just makes you feel better, temporarily. So we deal with all kinds of escapes. It's the resistance piece. That's the third piece that helps you with
right.
progress. And then the fourth one is, even if you look at the radar and you go, okay, I need community, I need family around me, I need to be my finances to be in good shape or better shape, or even geared towards more risk because you're building a new company. You might not get revenue for the next whatever 6 months to a year. How do I
Okay.
optimize? How do I lower my overhead? All of these four pillars, all of them together, will help you build this new future
I believe
in
it.
an integrated way. You'll get support from family. You'll build community. All
Mm,
of it together. It's not one thing that solves it, but that's the whole point. I coach people who really want to crush it, want to put a dent in the universe. And if you want to do that, you have to develop a transformative, a change of lifestyle that supports your goals.
okay. There you go. There you go. You nailed it. You hit the nail on the head. Absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. So, what advice would you give to someone who feels stuck in their career or personal life and wants to make a significant change, as you have done in various stages of your own life, including what you've implemented in your coaching program?
Well, if you want to get, I mean, first of all, get an assessment of where you're at, right? Just
Okay.
have a sober assessment. Where am I at exactly? Which it's a very important piece for growth. It's acceptance, right? Even if you have some missing pieces, things that you don't want to think about because they make you sad, right?
Right, right.
Acceptance is the first step towards growth, because okay, here's my starting point. I need to just roll with it. I have a tool that I develop and I offer it for free. It's called
Mm,
the Exponential Scorecard, and you can take that tool, and it's research based. It takes maybe between 5 and 7 minutes, maybe 7 or 8 minutes, depending on how quickly you respond to the questions, and you get a report in your inbox about the most important pieces of your life, and they're basically very clearly categorized as, you know, low, medium, and high, and that gives you a score. The score is fantastic,
mm.
right? It's a
I love
great
that.
way to assess where you are. You can find it at exponential.life, so exponential without the E, obviously,
Okay,
and it's free. So we use it with all of our clients, but we also offer it to anybody who wants to just take a look and see where they're at and evaluate.
great.
So exponential.life is where you find that. And the other thing you could do is subscribe. I have a newsletter with 20,000 subscribers that it goes out every Sunday. It's a weekly newsletter. It's free
Oh,
for the
good.
first 3 months. You can access the full catalog for like the price of a latte a month if you want to actually subscribe and be a member of the sort of the paid crowd. But 3 months, all the latest stuff is completely free, and that's going to give you sort of a steady diet of just really good videos, articles, the things that I'm reading. Even I put there what I'm watching, what I'm reading, what I'm curious about. So it's a great resource, and I just do it because I want to be generous with people who
Oh, good.
think I have something to offer. So that's another way to do it. If you want to get really serious and actually get coaching, it's not for everybody. It's expensive. I have a wait list, so we're generally full, and every once in a while there's a spot that becomes available. But you can go
Okay,
to this. You can go to the exponential.life website and take a look and
good.
and just reach out basically, and we can discuss adding somebody to a wait list.
Perfect. And then all these links will be in the show notes, by the way.
Oh,
Okay.
great,
So
fantastic.
I'll put, yeah, so I'll put all the show links. Yes, I'll put all the links in the show notes. Yes, definitely. So yeah, you have so much to offer. Your transformation and just what you offer is truly amazing. Now, are your coaching programs, are they 6 months? How does your
Oh, thanks for asking. So
Yeah.
the core program is 9 weeks, right?
Got it.
And then
Okay.
people can stick around just for ongoing coaching if they want to. But the core, I require that because I want you to really understand the tools, use the tools, and actually experience them changing their lives, your life, right? And so it's really great, and you get to be around people who are in community together doing the same
I
journey.
love that.
So you can see how they are implementing the tools, how they're changing their lives and skills and implementing the skills. And then, like, if you go, oh, this is already transformative, I want to stick around, there's ways to do that as well.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Now, one final question before I let you go. So for people listening to this podcast who might be facing their own personal struggles, what final words of encouragement would you offer?
I would say 2 things. One is sort of looking ahead, is that if you dream big dreams, those things can mobilize you, you know, and your struggles actually get into a different place of who you are, and it will mobilize you to solve those struggles because the dreams are pulling you ahead, right? That's sort of the one thing that is, I would say, forward looking. Backward looking, I've been through all kinds of stuff, right? I mean, I've literally been in a refugee camp. I've seen a lot of violence, civil war in Africa, the fall of the Soviet Union and Russia. I mean, I've seen so much stuff,
Oh my gosh.
danger, poverty. I spent years in a 1-bedroom apartment where I slept in the kitchen, right? Didn't even have a room. I've been in places where there's ration cards for food, things like that. So there's a lot that I've seen, physical stuff and also emotional, relational stuff. And what I've discovered, and this is something that I love sharing with people and helping people understand, is that in those struggles, there's treasure. It really depends on how you frame it for yourself. And it doesn't mean that you lie to yourself or you sort of change reality. No, reality is there. Bad things happen to people all the time. But in those struggles, in those limitations and traumatic experiences, there is the essence of a superpower. All you have to do is mine for it, right? And there's ways to do it. Again, it's a skill. Everybody knows, for example, the term PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder, right? Everybody knows that. I interview some of the top experts on the planet on human flourishing on my podcast, and Tal Al-Shahar, who is he's the founder of the Institute of Happiness. I think I'm correctly, and he was a professor at Harvard for years and years and years, talking about happiness and human flourishing. And he tells me in the interview, he goes, Christian, these are literally first-year students, psychology students. That's what they want to do for a living. I asked them, who knows about PTSD? They raised their hands. I asked them, who knows about PTG? No one raised their hands. Like 5% know what they are. PTG is post-traumatic growth. It's an actually recordable, provable, measurable psychological phenomenon. And it's the ability to experience trauma and reinterpret it to grow superpowers, right? So, and it's a fascinating ability of the human being to get stronger and happier, not in spite of the obstacles, but because of the obstacles.
There you go.
And I really believe that to be true and available for everybody. And I think that's an exciting prospect for anyone who is listening, who feels like, man, I have this weight on my shoulders. I have this stuff that I'm sad. I can't get out of it. There's all kinds of ways that you can actually get out of it. And I don't mean that as a psychologist, because I'm not. I don't mean that as a blanket statement, because everybody's story is different. But what I do know is that post-traumatic growth is a real thing. It's measurable and it's present and it's available to us.
Okay. Very good. Wow, what a story. What a podcast episode. Oh my gosh. And this is going to be live on my podcast later on today. So Christian, thank you so much for being a special guest on my podcast and also sharing your wisdom and knowledge and your entire story, which is so transformative.
Thank you,
If you
Angeline.
could do it, anyone could do it.
I believe so. I really do.
Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. So everyone, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my podcast on Let's Break the Silence with Angeline on Spotify for podcasters. We are on Spotify, Google, Apple. We are on iHeartRadio and all the other live streams. And please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. And also, do you want to continue to receive resources that will equip and empower you on your healing journey? So please stay in the now with news and promotions. And please go to my website, letsbreakthesilence.com. And I want to wish you, Christian, a wonderful day. Please stay in the green room for a few minutes after we're done.
Will do.
All right, everyone. Have a beautiful day.